I am a huge fan of physical media. I have been collecting video games, DVDs, Blu-rays, and the like for many, many years. My collection is not quite as extensive as some people's collection. However, it is very diverse, going from Wii games to Xbox games to Nintendo games to DVDs to Blu-rays and everything in between. I have spent a lot of time procuring physical media. Right here I have my cloud PR4100, which houses my Plex movies. And then for all my other digital content, it goes into my Synology NAS that I have here. With a collection of different consoles like this Nintendo, Xbox, another Xbox, the Nintendo Wii U, PlayStation, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and the like. Physical media is just pretty much what I've known my whole life. I started off playing video games back in, I guess, 1977 with the Atari 2600, and I moved on to playing the ColecoVision, and then on to stuff like the Sega Genesis, and obviously the Super Nintendo, and then I moved on to the PlayStation, Xbox, and those brands. And up to this point, I've owned all of the Xbox and PlayStation consoles. You might wonder, why am I bringing this up? What am I, where am I going with this? So today I'm trying to edit a video, and I go into my M1 Mac, and it is not allowing me to do something that I've always been able to do with it. And this is my challenge with digital media and digital devices as a whole. You see, I'm trying to do the same thing that I paid for, years ago, or even maybe less than that. And because of forced updates, I'm unable to do the thing that I did even just yesterday. And by that I mean my M1 Mac has two USB-Cs on it, and that gives me the ability to plug in a USB-C hub of some type, which gives me the ability to plug into an HDMI, which obviously I can attach an external display, or I can plug in external drives and all of these types of things. And the particular device that I'm using to plug into the M1 Mac happens to be a brand that is sold in the Apple Store. And so essentially it should be compatible. And usually it is. But I have noticed inconsistently when I plug it in, and sometimes it either will not send the video to the monitor, the external monitor, or it will not charge because there is a USB-C port so that you can continue to charge the device while you're using it with the HDMI. And so you end up developing these workflows with these products, or these it's just part of your life, the way that you use your smartphone, your computer, whatever it is. And you essentially are being moved around like a chess piece, because all of these devices have a way to report back to the company that makes them, letting them know what you like to do and what is your daily routine when using said device. So if they want you to update, then the way that they force you to update is essentially by disabling the things that you normally do on a regular basis, whether it be the webcam, whether it be the USB-C port. I've had times when, my M1 Mac has had no kind of water damage, no kind of issues with it. It hasn't been dropped. And I'll go to plug in the power adapter, the official Apple power adapter to the laptop, and it just won't charge. And that's how I know that the device needs to be updated. And this happens on a regular basis. And it seems like these updates are coming faster and faster, like, one day after another. And it's just such a hindrance in your workflow because, you just want to do what you paid for whenever you bought it. Like, say, if I bought a laptop, today, and I was able to perform a function on it today, then tomorrow I expect to be able to get that same type of energy. I don't expect to have to jump through a bunch of hoops just to use the same device that I bought to do a task to do it tomorrow. And these are some of the, I feel like, artificial things that push us to continue to buy updated hardware, updated software. And it, at some point, it just kind of seems like it's just going to get to the point to where you may have to do without. And that's why here, like on Daddy Share Space, as I'm doing the tools and working with that type of stuff, that stuff can happen whether I turn on the camera or not. When I'm using my laptop, if my laptop is unable to charge, that's it. Whatever functionality that I bought it for goes out the window. If it's crazy when you can't even open a file explorer, and this goes for both Mac and Windows. You can't do the things that you normally do simply because they want to force an update down your throat. And the updates, have attached to them EULA, an end user license agreement, and you can't proceed forward. You can't even get what you already paid for without accepting these new updates, which I find very aggressive, for lack of better terms. Like, I've turned on my regular desktop PC a few times, and I keep getting this warning about my Steam account, which I haven't accepted the terms, and I kind of vaguely understand what it's about. It's about the fact that they have to disclose certain things here in California. But the fact is, before they changed any kind of law or policy, I was able to just fire up Steam and do what I need to do. And it's just time after time, month after month, week after week, day after day, I'm being forced to make a decision on a legal contract of which I may not have a full understanding as to what I'm agreeing to. And with the advent of digital media, digital software type of things, anything that you buy and purchase could just be taken away at any time, but you're paying real money for it, which is super disturbing and frustrating, at least in my mind. And so I don't really quite know what we can do as a consumer to kind of, whether it be push back against that. For myself personally, I've just decided to take up new hobbies and new things. I do still, obviously I'm doing YouTube, so I have to use electronic devices to try to do that. But if, say, for instance, things get to be too bad, it will be no sweat off of my back to just basically, abandon the technology altogether. And because I can still build with my tools, Now, of course, in the future, the tools may start to come with that kind of technology in them. And I wouldn't be surprised if they already have, to where basically they can do, forced updates even on tools and stuff like that, to where you either can't use the tool without updating it, or the performance just starts to degrade. And then you've got this conflict of interest because the company wants to continue to sell more and more gadgets and widgets, and as a result, the only way they can get you to buy these new gadgets and widgets is for them to decrease the user experience for the current device. I mean, I've spoken before about how my original Xbox One, Microsoft sent an update to that device to where it would no longer even connect to the internet. We couldn't watch Netflix. We couldn't do anything on that device. And as I mentioned before, it was already taking an extremely long amount of time, like over 30 minutes or more, just to log into Minecraft. And that's on the original Xbox One and the Xbox One X, which is supposed to be a more powerful console. And you and I both know that basically this is not something that is, natural. This is all artificial. The fact that companies are writing this code, if it was working before, you could leave the code the way that it was before. But because they want to bring everybody along at the same cadence, they have to break the old stuff in order to sell the new stuff. And so it makes it a lot more challenging to be able to save your money and to make, good decisions. If basically, like, say, for instance, I just bought a PlayStation 5 Pro. So it would be interesting to see if the performance on the regular PlayStation, if it degrades in any way, or if they kind of abandon it like, many other things, like you've got the Xbox Series X. And right now, Xbox has the Xbox One, that's still on the market, well, not being sold, but people still own the Xbox One. People still own the Xbox One X. I am one of those people. And then now you've got the S and then the Series X that's out here. And so it's, to me, I feel like it's, in theory, punishment enough to not be able to play like next gen games. Like, say, for instance, I can't use my Xbox One X or my Xbox One to play a game like Starfield because it's next gen only. If I accept that, then I should still, though, be able to watch Netflix, or I should be able to, play all the games that I had before. I don't feel like my device should be bricked if basically it has not had water intrusion, it has not been dropped or damaged in any way. It's simply a line of code sent to my device or withheld from my device that makes that device not work the way that it was intended to work. I feel like if you stay in that time frame, like I like playing some older games like Fallout 3, like Oblivion, Elder Scrolls, and different games like that. I don't always necessarily need to watch the newer stuff or to play the newer stuff. And I don't know. I'm kind of concerned about what's going to happen with physical media, simply because when I see that shows, you can purchase a show on a particular platform in a digital form, and then if that company loses their license to that show, then it gets taken out of your library, then what are you actually buying? We shouldn't be paying as much money as we pay. We shouldn't pay full price for something that is not a perpetual license or a perpetual ownership. That price should be reduced greatly, and it should be more in line with renting, because that's exactly what it is, right? And even if a company is forced to remove something from you, then essentially, like, if you would buy a DVD and you kept it up, you would have that for a lifetime. So if I bought a digital movie, and it only lasted like 4 or 5 years, compare that to a lifetime, I should get refunded whatever the difference is for that. So let's say the average life is 60 years and I only had access to it for 5 years, then I should basically be able to subtract 55 years worth of value from that digital product. They should go back in my bank account that I can reuse to buy the next digital item that's never going to stay in my library. I mean, I know that sounds ridiculous, but the reality is, I think it's also ridiculous for companies that have a whole lot of money and a whole lot of power to think that we're just going to keep running on this treadmill with no end in sight. I mean, I don't know. For me personally, I've changed in a lot of ways. I do, like I said, I do still play video games right now. Who knows? This may be the last generation that I participate. I'm not going to guarantee that, but at least for me personally, right now, gaming is still fairly inexpensive by comparison to other things that we can choose to do. But I can see a day coming when there will be no more disk drives. And if there's no more disk drives, then, how are we going to retain our media? Then you're totally at the mercy of cloud storage, basically digital products. And I don't look forward to a future like that. I really don't. I still fancy my physical media. I still want to be able to, pop in an Xbox, game, pop in a Nintendo game if I want to. Like right now, because all of that technology is not in the device, I can take this Nintendo right now and plug it in and play any one of the Nintendo games that I have. Now, of course, sometimes these games would have some problems where you might have to clean off the game and do whatever, but, right here, this is a game I grew up playing a long time ago. I can play this right now if I wanted to, but if, physical media is taken away, this game is, I don't even know how old this is, but you can't do that if we go to all digital. And I understand companies need to make money, but I don't know what kind of compromise we can make, but it would sure be nice if we can find one. Anyways, guys, I want to thank you for taking time to watch the video, and I'll see you in my next one. Take care.